Hello and welcome to Module 4, Lesson 7. Today we're going to be doing some conversion word problems again. So let's just start with just a quick review of unit conversions. We did them earlier in the week. We should be getting pretty good at them. Here's an example. Let's look at 2 and 1/4 feet. And I want to know what that is in inches. We could do this in a diagram. We could say, okay, here I've got 2 feet, 1, 2, and a fourth more. Okay, so this is 1 foot here, 1 foot here, 1/4 of a foot here. And I know that each foot is 12 inches. Okay, but I'm going to have to know what this fourth of a foot is. So I'm going to go ahead and divide my 12 inches here into fourths. So what's happening is 12 just got divided by 4. And I got 3. And I can check that and see if that makes sense. Let's see, 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12. Okay, so I've got 12 inches in this foot, 12 inches in this foot. We'll go ahead and label that. And then in my little leftover fourth here, that's 3 inches. Add this all up. 12 plus 12 is 24, plus 3 is 27 inches. Now, of course, I can also do that completely without using a diagram. I can say 2 1/4. I can separate out the unit like we do. 1 foot, 2 1/4 times 1 foot equals blank inches. And all I have to do is rename this 1 foot as a number of inches. Well, how many inches in a foot? Easy, that's 12 inches. Okay. And now to multiply this, it's going to be a lot easier if I don't have a mixed number here. So let's go ahead and make this a top-heavy fraction. And I'm going to show you 2 ways, the slow way and the awesome fast way. So the slow way, that's going to be really easy to understand, is I say, I've got 2 wholes here. And when I'm dealing with fourths, you know that 4 fourths make a whole. So I've got 4 fourths, but I've got 2 of them. So it's plus 4 fourths plus then this last fourth here plus 1/4. Add that all up and I get 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9. 9 fourths. See, totally worked, but was really slow. The quick way is I take my whole number and I multiply it by the denominator. Because I know that for each whole number, I have to have this many in my numerator. I have to have 4 fourths. But it's happening 2 times. So 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9 fourths. Okay, so you multiply the whole number times the denominator, add the numerator, and that's your new numerator. A lot of you've probably figured that out already. It's a lot faster. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 1 is 9. So anyway, regardless how you do it, you've got 9 fourths now, and you're multiplying that times 12 inches. I'm going to put that with the denominator of 1. And here's another trick that some of you have probably figured out, but it's going to make it go a lot faster for you, all this multiplication. How we do this is we know we're going to multiply across, right? We're going to multiply across here, and then we know that this line means divided by. So if we also know that whatever we do to the numerator, if we do the same thing to the denominator, it doesn't really change anything. So there's stuff we can do that will make it easier, and as long as we do top and bottom, we're good. So in this case, I'm going to divide this by 4 on the bottom, and I'm going to divide this by 4 on the top and get 3. Okay, a bit easier, see? Oh, I'm sorry. Look, that was goofy what I just did. I divided by 4 and I still had 4. I divided by 4 and I have 1. So now I've only got 1s in my denominator, and I'll see right away that I'm going to get a whole number then when I multiply. 9 times 3 is, that's right, 27. And it would be over 1. I just don't have to do that. So my answer again is 27 inches. Now if that was confusing, let's look at it the way we were doing it before. 9 fourths times 12 over 1. We'd multiply across. 9 times 12, even I have to think on that a little bit, be 108 over 4. And now I have to go ahead and divide that 2.8287. I get there, but it was a lot slower, right? I had to deal with this medium in between step. If you do your crossing out and your division top and bottom before you multiply, it makes it a little bit faster. If you didn't understand any of that, don't worry about it. You can keep doing it how you're doing it, but you'll probably catch on eventually. Let's move this out of the way and try one more example of these. I've got 3.5 gallons, and I want to turn it into quarts. This guy's thinking, is our little thinky guy. How many quarts make a gallon? Well, quart sounds like quarter. And quarters mean you need 4, right? 4 quarters make $1. So think 4 quarts equal 1 gallon. And on the other hand, 1 quart is 1/4 of a gallon. So this guy remembers that. He's good to go. Let's just skip the diagram this time because I think this will work just as well. 3.5 times 1 gallon. Separate our unit there. Equals quarts. And we just want to rename this guy as a number of quarts. Well, how many quarts make a gallon? That's right, 4 quarts. 3.5 equals blank. Okay. Now let's do this the quick and easy way where we multiply the whole number times the denominator. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 gives me 7 halves. Okay, if you're not sure about that, do it the other way, but you'll see you still get 7 halves. Times 4 over 1 if we want. Now let's try to do our little cross off, divide top and bottom and see what happens. I look at this and I see, hey, I've got a 2 down here and a 4 up here. I can divide both of those by 2. And this one's especially nice because I divide by 2 and I end up with 1. Anytime you can get it down to 1, that's going to make it easier. So now, look, I've got a number up here and a number up here, but just 1's down here. So I can see I'm going to get a nice whole number when I multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. 1 times 1 is 1. I've just got 14 quarts. Hooray, 3.5 gallons equals 14 quarts. Let's think about our answer. Does it make sense? Well, gallons are bigger than quarts. So 14 quarts should only take me a few gallons, and it is. It's only 3.5. It's a pretty reasonable answer. All right, so let's put what we've been practicing with a word problem. Let's go ahead and read together. Koalas often sleep for 20 hours a day. For what fraction of a day do koalas sleep? Okay, so think about this. 20 hours. Is that going to be a whole day or less than a day? That's right, less than a day, which makes sense because they don't sleep the entire day. They have to be awake sometimes. So we're trying to find out what's the fraction of a day. All this problem is asking us is to convert from hours to days. And we are super awesome at conversions now, so let's just try that out. Let's see, we've got 20 hours equals blank day, because it's going to be a fraction of a day. In fact, I see here what fraction, so I know my answer had better be a fraction or I did something wrong. Let's separate our quantity from our unit here. 20 times 1 hour equals blank day. And now we have to rename this chunk here. My part in parentheses, 1 hour. We got to rename this as days. This one is more tricky than the others that we've done because before we were always going from a bigger unit like gallons to a smaller unit like quarts or feet to inches. Well, here, which of our units is bigger, an hour or a day? A day is bigger. So whereas before, when we had feet going to inches, when we changed feet to inches, we ended up with a whole number. But now we're changing from a smaller unit to a bigger one. So instead of getting a whole number here, when I rename it, I'm going to actually get a fraction. So let's think about this. How many hours are in a day? I know you just said 24 hours equal a day. Okay. So 1 hour, here's my day. I'm not really going to divide this up in 24 because it's going to take forever. Imagine that's 24 little sections. This whole thing is a day. So what's 1 hour? One of the sections. Well, I made 24 of them, and we're talking about one of them. So it's 1/24. We're going to rename this 20 times 1/24 of a day. And now it's just a matter of multiplying. 20, which you can put over 1 if you want to, times 1/24. And let's do our fun cross-off thing. What could I divide 20 by that I could also divide 24 by? Yep, if you said 4, you were right. Divide 20 by 4, I get 5. Divide 24 by 4, I get 6. Let's multiply across. 5, 6. 20 hours equals 5/6 of a day. And let's ask ourselves, does that sound right? Is that reasonable? Well, 5/6 is almost 1, right? I'm just missing 1/6. I'm almost there to a whole number. And 20 hours, that's most of the 24 hours in a day. So I'd say my answer is pretty reasonable. And I would say koalas sleep 5/6 of a day. And you would have nicer handwriting when you do it. Great. I think you're ready to try this on the practice set. Just keep in mind that if you're going from a bigger unit like feet to a smaller unit like inches, when you convert it, you're going to get a whole number here. But if you're going from a bigger unit like hours to a smaller unit like hours to a bigger unit like days, you're going to end up with a fraction. Try drawing a diagram if you're confused by that. All right, give it a go. Hit the practice set.